This is actually more of Republicans doing a little bit of the same. Their position is unpopular with abortion, so they're making it seem like it's something else. We know that following the really tragic story that went viral this week about the 10-year-old in Ohio who became pregnant and had to travel to Indiana to get an abortion. Conservatives were first calling this story fake. We had Jesse Waters on Fox News saying this is all a big hoax and the timing is really convenient. Of course, a small child was raped. This is just a story to bolster the pro-choice side of the debate. But the facts show that on average, there's been 1 abortion per week among children in Ohio alone under the age of 15 in 2020. And there's even some evidence that in a single city in Columbus, in Ohio, it's plausible that a 10-year-old has recently become pregnant. A review of the city's police log since March 15th uncovered 59 reports of sexual assaults of girls 15 and younger that, based on the information available, could have resulted in pregnancy. So let's watch what this anti-abortion activist has to say about all of this.
Ms. Foster, you think a 10-year-old would choose to carry?
In the 10-year-old case, first of all, the Ohio...
No, my question is, would a 10-year-old choose to carry a baby?
In the Ohio case, the Ohio Attorney General said that abortion would have been justified. Okay.
So the Attorney General said it would have been justified, but as we know, law and justice are not always the same because there's code in Ohio. It's Ohio Code 2919.12, and it only makes exceptions for abortion in cases of pregnancy where the life is endangered of the person who is pregnant. Not exceptions for rape, not exceptions for a young age either. And so this is really where it gets good, and by good I mean it gets much, much worse. Instead of deflecting the story itself, conservatives are now backpedaling so fast and hard that they're putting themselves into a corner. Let's watch that.
Focus on the question, please. Would a 10-year-old choose to carry a baby?
I cannot.
Do you think a 10-year-old should choose to carry a baby?
I believe it would probably impact her life, and so therefore it would fall under any exception and would not be an abortion.
Wait, it would not be an abortion if a 10-year-old with her parents made the decision not to have a baby that was a result of a rape?
If a 10-year-old became pregnant as a result of rape and it was threatening her life, then that's not an abortion. So it would not fall under any abortion restriction in our nation.
Ms. Swalwell, are you familiar with disinformation?
Yes, I am.
Did you just hear some disinformation?
Yes, I heard some very significant disinformation.
So Republicans' position is so unpopular that they are calling things that are not abortions, abortions, and calling things that are abortions, not abortions. Okay, what do you make of this, Cenk?
Yeah, that's a great point, connecting those two stories, because we just saw Congressman Norman earlier in the show say that if after a birth, if you killed a baby, that is an abortion. No, that's just called murder. An abortion is when there's a fetus inside the woman's body. So apparently, to Jessica's point, if it's not an abortion, you can still call it an abortion because you're, what, a liar? A Republican, same thing, right? Now, it's inconvenient that the 10-year-old, we're forcing her to keep the baby. And God knows how she's gonna deliver that baby, right? And it's the rapist baby, and it's a 10-year-old. We look like monsters. Now it's not an abortion. What do you mean it's not an abortion? You take the zygote or the fetus out through an abortion. But I know, but we like that abortion, so we don't want to call it an abortion because we're Republicans and we just lie for a living. We just lie all the time. And it's actually really simple because our voters never get it. They're always like, yeah, no. When you do an abortion, that's not an abortion. But when you don't do an abortion, it is. Yeah, And by the way, as that witness later pointed out, there is no exception for the life or the health of the mother in Ohio law. Forget rape and incest, you don't even have protection for the life of the mother. So that in that case, the 10-year-old would have been the mother, and the birth could have easily killed her, easily. Like, no, there's no exception for that either. We don't care if the 10-year-old dies because we're pro-life. You see what they're doing here? It's almost a form of torture. Words don't have meaning anymore. If they can get you to believe things that are obviously not true, then they've brainwashed you perfectly. and you're a zombie army they can do anything they want with.
This is the Orwellian part of this that's absolutely true, the seizing of the language. It happens even with the word freedom, the freedom of religion argument, which is really just used to mean your freedom to accept a certain religion. I mean, this is where the words associated with abortion and around abortion and really with a woman's right to her reproductive decision making, that is also a part of this hijacking of the language. And again, this is the aggression around wedge issues. And I mean, obviously, abortion is a strong one. This is a strange one. I would just step back and ask you both, do you think this is an issue that voters will respond to? I mean, we always hear though, they've really gone too far this time. Voters are going to turn out and they're going to bite back on this issue. I'm hoping that's true. I'm not so sure it is true.
Yeah, so far the polling doesn't look that good. It does not come in the top 5 issues on polling, and that is a disaster. But partly because, as usual, Democrats never make anything clear, right? If you said to women, no, the government can now seize your body, and you no longer have control over it. And these monsters are, look at the things that they're doing with 10-year-olds, etc. And they don't care. They don't care if you got raped. They don't care if it was incest. They don't care about any of these things. And you were super aggressive and you pounded it and pounded it and got people to understand. The Republicans, and to your point, Mark, about words and Orwellian, like life doesn't mean life anymore. They're not pro-life at all. Look, and then list, as we do on the show, and we've done dozens of times, list all the anti-life positions that Republicans have and how they don't give a damn about your life and they don't give a damn the minute you're born, and they never give you any help. Infant mortality rates are the highest in the red states. So, I mean, you want to talk about dying after you're born? That's literally what happens with infant mortality. And it's because the Republicans don't want to fund it because they give all the money to the rich, show them with blood all over their hands and their bodies. And then it could affect voters. But right now, when they're going to go, there's nothing we can do, then it's not likely to make a big difference in the elections.
Yeah, I think Cenk's right to point to the polling. Right? Do we see that people care about this as a top issue when they're deciding who to cast their ballot for? No. And even anecdotally, we had someone out as a field reporter, I'm not sure who they were working for, they were interviewing folks who were supportive of Trump. And they were asking them what they think about the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. And they said, we disagree with it. I'm pro-choice, my body, my choice. And the reporter asked them, are you aware that these were justices that Trump appointed for the purpose of overturning Roe versus Wade? And they're like, no, I wasn't aware of that. Well, does that change your decision? Yeah, it does. But if this guy with a microphone didn't come up to them, would they know? Probably not. And so unfortunately, it's really sad, but I'm not sure that this will have a major impact on voters when they're going to cast their ballot. But I think both advocates made a really good point. There was Tucker Carlson on Fox for years talking about, baby parts of abortions being, disposed of and people doing weird things with them. And then you had people commit really violent attacks on abortion clinics. And this really emboldened some people to go and attack them. And they noted in their manifestos something about baby parts. It was like a verbatim quote from Tucker Carlson. And so I do think if they're telling people that people on the left are killing babies right after they're born, it will embolden some people to react violently. And unfortunately, I think that'll be more of a reaction than one from voters.
And last quick thing, look at the difference between Democrats and Republicans. Republicans will, when they're campaigning, say, oh, Democrats murder babies. Not remotely true, but they say it because they think it'll affect people, because it will affect people. If I thought Democrats were killing babies, I wouldn't vote for them. That explains a lot of Republican voters. They don't know. I know for all of us, we think, oh, how could they not know? They don't know. And why don't they, and what did the Democrats do on the other side? It's a center-right country. Oh, Republican voters, we love you. We want Republican voters in the suburbs. We're never gonna make our case. What are you gonna do to fight back against Roe? Nothing, we're gonna do nothing. Gee, I wonder why Republicans win. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.